Hello guys, and welcome to another day with Zimaleta. In today's video I want to talk a little bit about oil changes on these T1Ns. This will be exactly the same type of oil change if you got a 2007 through 2018. Same thing, just different amount of oil, maybe different filter and stuff like that. In some cases it's gonna be the same type of filter, but here we go guys. In order to change the oil, this is the main tool you're going to need, and then you're gonna need to have a filter removal type of tool, which I'm going to get to later on in the video, show you which one I use, show you some other choices that's out there. And what I'm going to also do is show you the filter that I'll be using. This is the brand that I use, or sometimes I use straight out Mercedes. This is Hanks right here. It's made in Germany, and it doesn't say man-made filters, but if you could get the man-made filters, they're exactly what Mercedes has, and they're awesome. You know, this is good. You know, it's good and stuff. But these are plastic and stuff, like the other German ones. They don't stuff like that. But that's okay. That's besides the point. This is the tool you're gonna need to remove your bolt at the oil pan right here. It's a 1/2 inch or a number 13. I'm gonna be using a 1/2 inch. And let me show you also the setup, and let's go ahead and start draining our oil. And then we're going to get to the portion where I'm going to show you how to remove the filter, because a lot of guys, this is a little bit confusing to them and stuff like that, so I'm going to make it easier for you guys. All right, so here we go guys. Let's go ahead and drain the oil. And in order to drain the oil, you're going to need yourself some kind of pad, something to lay on. We're going to use this blanket right here, and you're going to need something to drain the oil into. This is what I use, picked it up at Walmart. They're not always available, so I'm gonna leave a link in the description below for like oil can. This is a really nice one because like a suitcase, you can set it on your step and it will not leak any oil out of it. A lot of them, they leak oil because these caps, they're not right. And this cap is perfect down there. Once you tighten it up, it doesn't drain any oil and it doesn't slip. That's actually what I like about this can right here. And it's large enough to fit 16 quarts. So if you got a 2018 van, 6-cylinder, this could fit your 13.5 quarts in here just easy. So let's stick this underneath. Oh yeah, make sure you open up this little thing, because it needs to breathe when it drains. So I moved this out of the way a little bit. Sometimes these bolts, they get stuck a little bit. So what I do, I'll put my foot on it very easily and just squeeze lightly. We lost, oh there it is. Surprisingly, it's stuck a little bit more than it should be. Let's do it again. Okay, this is rare occurrence. Normally, putting your foot on it, that's the trick. Let's see if we can still do that. Okay, that did the trick this time. Okay, now align your gas can and go ahead and start removing the rest of it. Now this will give you dirty hands. So using gloves is going to be essential. The way not to really get dirty, just let that bolt drop. But I was able to catch the bolt, and there it is right there. So anyways, while the oil is draining, let's talk a little bit about the bolt. This is the bolt I was removing. It does have a seal on it right there. See, it's a copper washer thing. So when you're actually gonna let the bolt drop, you possibly will lose the copper washer. Well, with those things, it's not actually going to allow the copper washer to actually slide behind the little holes where it's draining. So that's fine. But as you could see, the oil is kind of dirty. It's very, very black. Why am I saying that? This is a 10,000 mile oil change. I know what you're saying, why not 3,000 miles? But guys, with diesels, you don't change it every 3,000 miles. You change it at 10,000 miles. Now, if you change it at 8,000, it's gonna be even better. But by the book, this is 10,000. Who's to say the book is right? But that's what I've been doing, and it's been so far helping me. I think changing the oil is like the best thing you could do for your vehicle. This really extends the life of the engine, because things that are lubricated, they're not really shaving down, you know, the way that they are if you don't. And I guess the cheapest thing you could do to really help your engine extend its life. Now you might be wondering, oil is essential, and you're right. So you might be asking, what kind of oil is best to use? I always use Shell Rotella T6. And yes, this is a big jug of it. This is actually 2.5 gallons, 9.4 liters. So it's a little bit different when it comes to gas gallons and diesel gallons, even though it really shouldn't be. So when you get in like a gallon for oil, like you know, for a gas car, it typically has 5 quarts inside. You know, for diesels it doesn't. It has like 4 quarts inside instead of like 5. It might, you know, specify the exact, you know, like quarts and liters and whatnot, but we really don't think. Sometimes we're thinking, okay, our car requires like 5 quarts, so we get a gallon and boom, you run with it. Not so fast for this vehicle. This needs 10 quarts. So this means I need to buy 2 gallons. Well, actually I need to buy 3 gallons, or 2 gallons and 2 quarts. I typically get 3 gallons because, you know, I'll have like, you know, 2 quarts left over after it, and I could use it to maybe fill it up when I'm checking my oil, or use it on the next oil change. My Sprinter does not eat any oil. If you're wondering if Sprinter's supposed to be eating oil, it doesn't. However, if it's eating oil, I could tell you kind of like where you're losing this oil. Chances are your turbo hose is leaking, the bottom portion that goes back the drain off valve, and mine's leaking on this one. Because I just recently installed the turbo, that hose happened to be a little bit dry, the rubber portion of it. So it's dropping. When it's working, it's dropping a little bit of oil. Not much, it's losing a little bit. But the biggest place where it loses all the oil is through the turbo resonator. A lot of times those plastic resonators along the seams, they get kind of like opened, and it's spitting a lot of oil over there, you know. So every time the engine's working, oil's lubricating your turbo, and you know, there's oil traveling kind of like in the pipes and stuff like that, you know, to allow that lubrication to happen. And there's gonna be some losses like that, but I'm not experiencing any losses with this. However, with some other Sprinters, I did experience some losses, especially these right here, these newer style. It's quite normal for them to lose about a quart of oil every like 4,000 miles. Very easy. So you'll probably need to add about 2 quarts if you're gonna wait 10,000 miles in order to change the oil. But guys, these new ones here, if you're wondering how much oil, because the book says 14 quarts, guys, only put 13.5 quarts. You're gonna put 14 quarts? Well, 14 quarts would be right, but keep in mind, about half of it's not being drained out, okay? So every time you're changing it. So when you put 14, your light will come on. So initially it's 14 quarts, but then you're supposed to put in like 13.5, because all of it does not come out for some reason. And if you're gonna put 14, the light is gonna come on saying the oil level is too high, you know, so there you go for that. For this one, oil change is even more expensive, because now you're gonna need to buy 3-gallon things. Each one have like 4 quarts and an extra quart. Or you might just pick up 4 of them things. Now you might be wondering, what is this? This is 10 quarts, okay? Only cost $49 with some change, you know, plus, you know, taxes and stuff like that. So for $50, I change the oil. I get a big can that's left over. Maybe I'll use it for something, you know, if I need to, I don't know, put some diesel in there. It's like basically a free 2.5, you know, gallon diesel or gas type of gas can, technically, because they're made out of the same type of plastics, technically. It's a little bit cheaper quality, but ultimately it's all about the same. So anyways, the oil is still draining. Let's go ahead and get to the next topic. We're gonna try to show you how to remove the filter and what kind of different tools that you could use. So let me show you what I use. Hey guys, if you're still wondering whether doing an oil change is like a really hard task and the dealer should charge you $300 to do it, let me ask you this. Can you open a can of peanut butter jelly? If you can, or a can of peanut butter, you could do your own oil change because it's very simple, guys. Actually, my wife could do it and my kids know how to do it. So anyways, what kind of tools can you use? The most common I've seen people use is this one. Something like this. You put it right over it, you change it. I kind of don't like it. It says OEM. Well, maybe the part is in itself. The part number for this is 25401. This fits the filter exactly, okay? But here's the problem. You see how like that metal's kind of thin? So you put your key in there and stuff like that, and you know, it's fine. I mean, it's got enough room in there, you know, to fit it just fine. But guys, what happens with these things is they get stuck a lot. I see them get stuck on there, you know, much more often than they should be. So they get stuck, and now you're driving around with your tool still being there. If it's a problem for you, then you might not want to use this. I don't use it. I just have one. As a matter of fact, I inherited it from one of the sprinters I bought because it was stuck on there. Somebody could not get it off. I got it off. So that's that one. Put it aside. Now we have this one. I picked this up somewhere. Can't remember exactly where, but I found it. So what happens is it slides. Now this is much better because it's not gonna get stuck. It's made in USA and it says caution wear gloves. Okay, made in USA. It does not have the brand. Maybe I should put a name on it, right? Put my own name on there. And this grabs it just fine. This actually will work amazingly. Now I also found one of these back when I was 18 years old. Same system, but look how much this spreads out. A lot wider than the other one. So you could use this on so many different types of filters. And I'm 37 years old now, and this tool is about 20 years old now. And as you can see, still works. And look, you see how I'm like having this cheap little tool on here? Guys, when I bought this thing, I had very cheap tools. I was 18 years old, you know, I wasn't really making that good money, so I had this real cheap tool. I don't even know who is it by. Let me see who's it by. It's like a no-brainer. Funny thing is, it still did not break, that little tool. It still works. And it kind of got stuck on this tool. I could get unstuck, but why should I? This is basically part of the tool. So it doesn't come with this little wrench. So look, it extends that way and it locks in. So this tool only will work one way to try to remove it, and it will get unstuck. So I never actually had to change the position of this, even if it's maybe broken. I just don't need to. I love this tool. That's actually what I'm going to be using to remove, you know, my oil filter. Now, if I do find these tools on Amazon, I shop a lot on Amazon, so I could talk wonders about that. There's a lot of good deals right now because what's going on is China manufacturers, they're really not allowing people to profit on this stuff anymore by selling on Amazon and increasing the prices when you get stuff from China. And China manufacturers are selling it for pennies on the dollar, basically on Amazon. So it's kind of like Alibaba, you know, so except you get faster shipping and it's free a lot of times. So I'm going to find these tools, stick it in my description below, and I don't know what to call them, but I'm going to put the pricing, so just check the links out and find out. But I'm just going to put what price it is and oil filter cap removal tool or something, and I'm going to put the right description in there so you could find the proper part. But I'll just have a simple link, go there, check it out, and if I find oil and stuff that also good to use, I'll link that in the description below. But ultimately, you'll be able to easily see in the description what prices everything are, so you'll be able to pick the price point that you're really comfortable with. I always go by my dad saying, if he said anything correctly, he said this thing correctly. I remember I commented on the camera that he bought. He bought a Sony camcorder, and he paid like I think like $2,500 for it. And I said, Dad, that's an expensive camcorder. Why did you buy it for so much? He says, I am not rich to buy cheap stuff, you know, and that is true. You buy something cheap, it breaks on you. And after that point, I kind of thought, man, that's so true. We pick up some kind of garbage type of thing just so we could save money, and we end up buying it again and again and again. Might as well get something good to begin with. Sometimes you can't, but you know, you could try. But anyways, let's go ahead and try to remove this oil filter. Now, if you're thinking this video is kind of long, ask yourself, like, why would I want to do another oil change? Just simply changing the oil. I already have oil change videos. I think I already have like 2 videos on there changing oil, and they're quite short, so you can see those. Just get the oil change. But I like to provide value. If we're gonna be changing the oil, let's talk about the tools. Let's talk about how to remove it. Let's talk about the sprinter a little bit, you know. And sure, I'm kind of like, somebody might say you're not staying on point, you're not staying on topic, but we are staying on topic here, right? I mean, if you agree that I'm staying on point with the oil change, and we're talking about the tools and the oil change in general, hit a like or write something in the description or both, you know, saying, hey, you know, I like it, I like this extra stuff. Because here's, guys, what I'm going to tell you. You're not going to find this on any other channel where somebody's going to really put their heart into the work and show you exactly like what's going on and stuff like that. Because after all, you know, our time is important to us. It's the most important commodity. And me, just as well as you guys, we're putting in our time. You are putting in your time to watch this video. So I'm putting in my time to explain this stuff. So might as well make the best out of it, right? So might as well do the best I can to provide value. So if you agree with that I provide value, let me know. But before we get started, one guy asked me when I was actually removing one of the pulleys and stuff, and the tensioner and stuff like that, and he says, if you would have linked the Amazon link to those tools that you use and stuff like that, man, he would have loved it. He would have used the links and stuff like that, and if I could include more information about the tools that I'm using, that would be great. So I kind of said, hey, I'm gonna do that from now on, you know. Because sometimes I think something's not important, but it really is important to you guys. So let's make the best out of it, right? Okay, let's remove the filter, guys. This job is so easy, you know. I'll probably make a shorter version that I'm just just removing the oil thing or whatever, and you know, it'll save you time, right? Okay, guys, let's go ahead and remove this oil filter cap. And I simply just extend it out, put it on my filter, and that's it. Look, I'm already removing it. So easy. So it's quite loose. So anyways, guys, a lot of you might be wondering what's the old filter looks like when you remove it, guys. This is what old filter looks like. It's completely black. You could tell the walls out of it due to it's being so dirty. It's just like that, you know. So it's very important to change your filters. I mean, look how close those things are together over there. I mean, it's really struggling to suck the oil all the way through the system and stuff. Now, this filter is original Mercedes. It's a man filter. There's no plasticky thing on top. This is the original stuff. So sometimes I pick it up from Mercedes, and here's why. I go to a parts store, it's exactly the same price as the Mercedes. So why would I buy the parts store one, you know? But I want to link you some links in there, you know, to buy cheaper type of parts. Now, before we go, you probably wonder, how well do these things fit? This is the cap that I showed you about. Look, it's like a hand and a glove. They fit together, see? It does tend to slip a little bit, so possibly why they're getting stuck a lot. They really just get jammed in between these things. They still will twist it, but causing it to get stuck. The way to unstuck one of these units is turn it the other way, of course, and then just try to, you know, I don't know, oil it up maybe through the top thing to try to, you know, release it. But this is definitely pretty dirty here. Now you might be wondering, should I be replacing the oil rings and stuff like that? I don't replace it on every oil change, but if they do rip, then it's a problem. If you're not going to replace them, make sure that you save these oil rings. Just put them somewhere. But you know what? In this video, I will be replacing them because it has been a while since I done it. I do need to get something like this box so I could, you know, put the old filter back in there. So we're gonna go ahead and pull it off like that. It does have some weight to it. Now, guys, it's important that when you install some new rings that you oil it up a little bit. You know, I don't care if you use old oil or new oil. You know, it's really important. So these things are a little bit tricky to remove. You'll need some kind of screwdriver, you know, to remove it. Some kind of flathead. It should be smaller than this, but let's go ahead and use this bigger one. We're gonna just try to get this one right here. So I don't recommend you rip these things. I mean, if you do your own oil changes, you're gonna have a lot of these, but you might need it for something else. I just end up keeping them. I'll throw them in my toolbox because you just never know. Maybe one of them will rip on you, and then what? You know? Guys, it's not always this busy over here on the highway. I'm always choosing to work late in the day. It's like 5 o'clock right now when I'm doing this. So now I have removed every single oil thing. Let's just put them somewhere on the side where I'll find them. And here is the baggie. Let's go ahead and rip it a little bit. Now you'll want to kind of do this the same way as you would by removing the, you know, you install the big one on first. That's what I do. So you could clearly see it was pretty brand new, you know, so I put some oil on it. If you ask me, guys, what happens if this oil ring goes bad? I'll tell you something. A buddy of mine, he was doing his oil change and he didn't replace it. And when he installed this thing, somehow it ripped, maybe it cut on there sideways, and it was he basically lost a lot of oil, spewing oil everywhere. There's a lot of extras in here. This probably fits a couple different models. So they include like different O-rings. So let's pull them all out. There we go. There's different sizes, so we're gonna go ahead and put those other ones to the side. Let's stick this little one on there first to leave the confusion out of it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take one of the old ones and I'm gonna compare it to what we have here, because we have several types. Now that is very small. That one's a little bit bigger. Yeah, they're all kind of a little bit bigger. This appears to be a little bit smaller. It's not gonna really matter a lot, but it is kind of loose. Look at that. I really don't like how that's loose, even though this is a new one. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use the smallest one here, and it's probably gonna need to stretch a little bit, which I don't like either. So I'm just gonna use the original back on here. That's why, you know, don't rip them in case, you know, it doesn't go. But rubber gaskets that I had on here originally, they were Mercedes, so obviously Mercedes is going to have the best ones. So now we're gonna put this filter back on here. You want to make sure it goes all the way back. You see how like it snapped a little bit? You want to make sure it goes all the way back. If it doesn't, you're gonna have a difficulty installing this filter. So it kind of went on good. We heard that little snap. So normally I wipe the cap down a little because it's a little bit oily. I don't want to touch my camera with gloves. I'll just go ahead and start twist this thing back on there. If it's not going to be twisting on good, what I do is I put a paper towel on it and I really twisted it in there. And I go like that from the side. You see, like I'm doing, I'm using my hand like a wrench. So that is pretty good. So the very next thing I need to do is go ahead and replace the bolt, the oil bolt, and we're gonna tighten it in place. Sorry, I'm not gonna put the camera back there. I will maybe for one of the other videos, but one of my other videos already has that. But we want to make sure that the copper washer is back on here. However, people always lose these bolts and these copper washers, and yours might be stripped. So I'm gonna find a bolt, leave it on the description below too, because you might need this, including maybe you'll need like an oil pan, because sometimes they're stripped. I never had that issue, but if you let a teenager do this job, they'll strip it for you because they're gonna over tighten it. You don't need to over tighten, you just need to do it just hand tight. You know, no need to really put a lot of pressure on it, because there's a copper washer. It's gonna prevent, you know, things from leaking. And it's recommended to change the copper washer every time. I don't do that if it's still in good shape. I mean, why should I, right? Because I don't apply that much pressure to really break it. And you've seen how difficult it was for me to remove it. Now you thought maybe I tightened it up good last time. No, it's heat and stuff, you know, expansion of metal all the time. It causes it to be really hot, really stuck in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on here. Just takes less than a minute to do. And voila, it is done. So we're going to need to go ahead and put some oil in here, and that's where the difficult job comes in. Now for that, I'm gonna go ahead and change my gloves. This is the way you remove it, guys. You first grab the center of the glove to remove it, like right in the center, and then you swipe your hand underneath and you pull it like that. I learned that when I was a certified nurse's assistant, not a mechanic. So I was a mechanic first though. Well, not a real mechanic, but I took shop 3 years in high school, 9, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. Well, actually that makes it 4. Yeah, 4 years of shop, and I've learned a lot. Of course I service all my own cars, all of them. Gas ones was being the first one. So we're gonna put on some new gloves, because it is a dirty job. Now guys, every single gloves I find, they're garbage. They're just garbage. These blue ones, they rip and everything. There is the best gloves I found. They were on the internet. I was able to pick it up on Amazon. Unfortunately, I'm out of those gloves, guys. Those were like the best gloves ever. You could probably do your complete job, whatever you're doing, without like ripping those gloves. They're a little bit on the expensive side. They're like, I don't know, like 20, 25 bucks for a box of 100. They have like this black widow on there. Black widow. The box looks like chrome and stuff. I mean, you could tell it's a high-tech one, but it's just real high quality. And I'm gonna try to find that box again and get some of this stuff, because this blue stuff, if you get it at Walmart, it's garbage. These are Harbor Tool, and so far, like, I paid like $5 for this box. They're not ripping on me, but a lot of times I get these blue ones. They just rip like crazy, especially from Walmart. Like, I don't know what's going on. Maybe a different brand. I mean, you would think Harbor Tools would be worse, right? But these are Harbor Tools box. You can clearly see. That's what that box looks like. and I've used a coupon in order to get this. So I recommend have a cheap box, have an expensive box, because sometimes you don't want to change your gloves and you're doing some job. It's a little bit more heavy duty. You don't want those gloves to rip because you get it on your hands anyways. Now these do rip. Like if I get it pinched in something, it does really rip, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and pour some oil in here. The biggest challenge in changing this, of course, is how to hold that big jug. So let's go ahead and get it done. Okay guys, let's get this oil change underway. This is what I'm going to be using. If you don't have one, I'm going to show you how to make one for free. Now it does have a seal, which is great because it can easily rip this. But this is how I do it, guys. I just grab it like this from the bottom and I twist it over, and that's how I change it, guys. Okay, so we're good. All right, guys, we are done with the oil change. So you might be wondering, guys, is it still worth changing it for $300? Guys, if you're afraid of the little sweat or some dirty hands, it's well worth it. Pay you $300 or $200 for somebody to do your oil change. I don't think it's worth it for me. I'd rather spend $300 on some, I don't know, 20 steaks or something, you know? And even more steaks if I'm gonna be grilling it on my own grill. But anyways, guys, I really hope you like this video. Hit a like, share this with your friends, and tell all the guys you meet, you know, like at like truck stops or whatever, you know, that you maybe like buddy with. I'm not saying just like go knock on people's doors. And just say, hey, you know, if you got like, I don't know, any kind of question about the Sprinter, look at Zimaleta how-to show, because I have a lot of Sprinter stuff and Expedite, and my videos make sense. So anyways, guys, thank you for watching, and see you guys in my next video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Take care.